Hey, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to yet another trans topic that the internet wants me to talk about. And as usual,
it's getting weird.
If you're new here, my name is Blaire White. I do social and political commentary from the perspective of a trans woman who rejects gender ideology and trans activism. So if you're in the mood for something niche, go ahead and subscribe. So everyone and their cousins, uncles, hairdressers, best friends, dog has been asking me to talk about Chris from MrBeast's YouTube channel. Now, why do people want me to talk about Chris? Because Chris has recently set the internet on fire by coming out as transgender and announcing himself to be on hormone replacement therapy. Now, this is a big deal because MrBeast is the biggest YouTuber. MrBeast has a very family-friendly YouTube channel. MrBeast has a very young audience. And so naturally, the internet is going ham. What is that? What does that represent? Why do you guys watch me? So Chris is a massive part of MrBeast's channel. He's basically MrBeast's sidekick. Now, I had never watched really MrBeast content before, so my first time hearing of Chris was upon him coming out. And for me, it's a lot less about Chris being transgender and a few other issues that have me feeling a little disgusted. I'm not going to just do a video simply about someone coming out as transgender. It's like, hi, it's 2023. That's everyone, right? So Chris's announcement of being on hormone replacement therapy really took the internet by shock for the simple fact that prior, Chris had been known as sort of the all-American, like gun-toting, like meat-eating, like redneck, like just like super masculine guy, right? And so it's really an interesting take about how people often project, right? So oftentimes the thing that people are trying so hard to fight against is really representative of something deep inside their psyche that they're trying to ignore or they don't like about themselves. So I always find that really interesting when you see people who are like, I don't know, like constantly talking negatively about gay people and suddenly they're caught. You know what I mean? It's like, wow. It also has really upset people because Chris has a family, specifically a wife and a son, and people are saying that this is incredibly unfair and bad for them. And I have a lot of thoughts about that, by the way. Can I just say I'm probably going to go off about that for a while, like a good chunk of this video. Now, any person coming out on a YouTube channel as transgender when the audience is so young, as MrBeast's channel typically is, a lot of young kids watch it, was going to cause controversy, right? But it only got worse with things that came out post-transition announcement. And those are the things that have me feeling like, let's do a video. And anytime someone is trending on Twitter or a hot topic, you can bet your ass that old tweets are going to resurface, and resurface they did. And these are the things I have the most issue with. One tweet circulating from Chris says, "Nothing gets my knob a-cranking like some lolly." Now do me a favor, babe, don't Google lolly. It is cartoon depictions of children, sometimes as young as toddlers.
It's getting weird.
Now, I don't know what kind of demented, busted, crusted, disgusted person is going to admit to enjoying that particular type of content other than like a degenerate. And like, I kind of want to call 911. Second post, that looks good for a 4-year-old. Okay, so I am someone who enjoys dark humor. Like, I use it all the time. Like, people try to use that against me, right? But to pretend as if that doesn't paint some context, right? To like you saying that you enjoy cartoon graphic images of people that same age, when there's a picture beginning to be painted, it's like that's the issue. People are also really upset about the screenshot from Chris's Snapchat in which he shows his son, who looks really young, like toddler aged, wearing high heels. And people are saying like, look, dude, it's one thing for you to want to wear women's clothing, women's shoes, that you want to change how you look and gender bend and whatever. Why does it have to include your child? And I actually have to wholeheartedly agree with that. I just feel like, why is it so often, and at this point we've covered so many like trans parents on this channel, why is it so often something that all of a sudden like their kids are partaking in as well? Not saying that he is even claiming his son is trans or whatever, but it's like, at the same time, you're experimenting with like wearing like nail polish and like dressing yourself up and changing your aesthetics. Your son also happens to be in high heels and you're just like taking a picture of it. And we're supposed to believe that also exists in a vacuum, similar to the liking 4-year-olds comment, the lolly comment. And I'm not trying to make any allegations of abuse about Chris and his son or anything. So don't get me wrong there, but it's just like, it makes you feel uneasy. I don't like it. I've never liked that. Now, Chris has a wife as well as his son, and I really wanted to hone in on this because something that I don't think I've ever really talked about on my channel is how it is my personal belief that transitioning after you decide to have a family, to marry a woman and make a devotion to her as a man, as a husband, and as a father and a male figure to your child / children, few things match that level of selfishness in my mind. I've never liked it. I don't care who's upset about that. I don't care who feels like everyone just has to live their truth and do their own thing. Yeah, everyone should live their truth while not harming others in the process. Chris and the wife have split, so no matter what you have to say, this has torn apart their family. Making the devotion to be a woman's man for the rest of her life is something that, first of all, society doesn't take seriously enough in general, right? People divorce way too easily in general, right? But then to pick up one day and say, actually, I want to be a woman and you have to be a lesbian or we have to get divorced. I'm not saying that's exactly what happened with Chris, but that is usually the narrative in these situations. That is always so gross to me. So your son doesn't get to grow up with a father figure because you, years into his life, decided you don't want to be a father figure anymore? Really? To take away the father figure from a child, from a son in particular, is so gross to me. And you can say that this is me being harsh. You can say it's me being mean, but people of sounder minds are going to say this is me being real. I get that it doesn't mean he's abandoning his child, but to pretend as if he's not taking something away from his child would be incredibly dishonest. I don't care how many people think that this is just Chris being his true self. Okay, well, guess what? His family was under the impression that his true self was a husband and father. To give you some insight into what happens to the wives in these situations, I actually have a comment I wanted to read you. Because on my podcast, I had briefly talked about the Chris situation, and this woman left a comment that I found was very insightful. My ex-husband came out as trans when we were about 8 months into our marriage. It devastated me. The pressure I felt to be a good wife and be supportive was suffocating. We went to support group meetings that made me feel worse. He used my bisexuality as a weapon against me, saying that it's okay for him to transition because I'm bi and I'll be attracted to him anyways. It doesn't work like that. At all. It was awful. I felt abandoned by him. He wanted to have kids with me the whole gig. It was awful. I feel bad for Chris's wife and family. And I do too. I really do. I believe that MrBeast is between a rock and a hard place here because if you fire Chris because of all this division and controversy that Chris has created by coming out as trans, you're going to be looked at as transphobic by half the internet. And to keep Chris, you're going to be alienating kind of half the internet. A lot of people are saying they're boycotting the channel. A lot of parents don't want their kids watching anymore. Half the internet is supporting Chris and saying this is so amazing that you get to live your truth and you get to be yourself and blah, blah, blah. And the other half is saying that MrBeast is pushing the trans agenda on this family-friendly audience, this audience of typically younger people. And I just feel like that's kind of dumb because MrBeast doesn't have any control over who comes out as trans and when on the channel, right? It's like he's in a rock and a hard place. He fires Chris, he gets deemed transphobic. He keeps Chris and he alienates half the audience. And MrBeast did respond saying, yeah, this is getting absurd. Chris isn't my nightmare. He's my effing friend and things are fine. All this transphobia is starting to piss me off. And people are pointing out that MrBeast looks like visually uncomfortable around Chris now that Chris is coming on the channel, like dressing a certain way, and you can definitely see it.
Oh my God, Jimmy, look, they drew you. Jimmy, they drew you so well. It looks just like you.
Oh, yes.
Oh my God, it's Jimmy.
How did fan art? This is what we were looking for. Be brave, be honest, be kind, MrBeast. That is my tagline.
Hey, nice shirt. Thanks, dude. Nice shirt.
Hey, nice shirt.
Thanks, dude. Nice shirt.
Thanks. Nice shirt.
Nice shoes.
But I have some good news for MrBeast from me. MrBeast, I know you have a lot of money over there. I know you'd be giving money to just like anyone and everyone for your channel. Throw me some coins because I'm about to save your channel. I have the out for you. The way you fire Chris is the tweets. I don't know what other kind of employee at any other company, especially a YouTube company, is going to be able to publicly tweet about a 4-year-old being hot, publicly tweet about enjoying cartoon CP and still keep their job. So there's your out, MrBeast. You can fire him for that. So, I don't personally feel that Chris being trans is the problem. I feel that Chris messing up his family to be trans is the problem. Chris publicly admitting to enjoying things that should get you the wood chipper is the problem. But as usual, trans is the thing that sets it all off. I love you guys. Make sure you subscribe to this channel as well as my second channel, which is my podcast channel, which I have a new episode coming out the day after this video. Make sure you follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.